Thanks for tuning in to As the Tire Turns podcast. Before we dive into this week's episode, I'd like to thank our sponsor, AME International. Tire professionals insist on AME. I'd also like to recognize the AACF. For over 65 years, the Automotive Aftermarket Charitable Foundation has stood by those in the automotive aftermarket industry and their families during life's toughest challenges. Since 1959, with the incredible support of industry partners, AACF has provided vital assistance to individuals and families facing financial hardship due to unforeseen circumstances, such as floods, earthquakes, storms, fires, catastrophic medical conditions, life-changing accidents, devastating fatalities, and more. AACF offers a straightforward application process and a quick turnaround time for those needing support during critical moments. Visit www.aftermarketcharity.org to access the application and learn more about how AACF can assist during times of need. Together, we can make a difference in the lives of our automotive aftermarket family. Support AACF today. And now, As the Tire Turns. We are back with another episode of As the Tire Turns. Today I'm joined by AME International's Brett Waggoner. Brett?
Wow. I never thought I'd make it to the hot seat.
This isn't the hot seat. This is a piece of cake. Although I did tell you yesterday, I'm struggling with this one. Not that I do a tremendous amount of preparation for any of these, but I feel like with each of these that I've done, we are 25 episodes in, I believe. We did 24 for last year. It's not necessarily number of guests because there were some verbose people, or sometimes you just had so much to talk about. But anyway, so some of them did spill over into two, but I really think I've learned something with everyone. And I said, I don't know what's left to learn, so I'm a little nervous. But and I'm not going to ask you if you've watched any of the episodes, because my ego can't take it. If you say, Keith, no, I've actually never heard of it. But I'm curious as to how you got into the tire industry.
Well, first, what's the name of this podcast again? I want to put it in my favorites.
It's on.
I've listened to a few. I haven't watched any.
Okay.
I didn't realize they were available.
So YouTube.
On YouTube.
YouTube to watch, right, and then listening.
What's the YouTube channel, Keith?
I think it's a section of the AME page. I think it's like a playlist maybe or something like that.
So the AME INTL YouTube channel.
I believe so. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, and then anyway.
Trying to help with the plug there.
No, I appreciate it. So you can listen on, I think, Spotify and maybe Apple Podcasts, I believe.
I think Apple's where I saw it. So.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. So how'd you get into the tire industry there, Brett?
Well, that's a great first question. Yeah, I moved to Florida in 2002, at the end of 2002, with Fastenal, who I've been with for 5 years. Played men's league baseball with a guy that worked with you, Eric, and he introduced me to the wonderful world of ESCO, and I think I interviewed on the same day as my other counterpart, and both of us got the job in 2003 and did our first trade show. I think we got the job, let's see, July 21st, July 14th, 2003. Did our first trade show, the Great American Trucking Show in Dallas in August, because who doesn't want to go to Dallas in August? It's nice and cool. But had the booth with the Haltech guys, and we're there for, I think, Ken's first trade show, Ken Coyne from Haltech.
Yeah.
At the same time, so we all started pretty much at the same time, it seems like.
It's true.
Got to meet Dave Caruso and Tom, and just kind of went from there. I guess once we did that, you couldn't quit.
That is true, and I don't think that was the trip, but I remember those were some lean days back then. Not necessarily my size, but I'm talking on the even still at ESCO. And so I don't remember if that was the one. I remember one time I don't know if this is really relevant content, but you mentioned Dallas. I remember we were staying at a hotel somewhere, and I don't know if it was that trip or not, but I remember was I looking for a rental car, keys or something? Couldn't find them on the way to the airport. And are you thinking what I'm thinking?
I mean, I'm just wondering if it's all Lewis missed the flight.
Coming out,
came out, first trip, something happened with his ID and missed the flight. We all get there on the Thursday, set up, Friday, Saturday, Sunday show. On Saturday night you were leaving, or Sunday morning.
Sunday, early morning, or maybe it was Saturday. Maybe I was coming home early.
Lean days, correct. Shared 2 split rooms with a door in the middle.
Yeah.
Separate beds, but yes, shared the rooms. Wasn't that bad. And yes, can't find my keys. Who had my keys? Hour into looking for keys.
To get to the airport, finally
they were under the trash bag in the bathroom trash can. Somehow, I have no idea.
That's right. I forgot about that. And then
turned everything upside down.
I think I just ended up saying, I'm going to take a taxi, and you guys return rental car. Anyway, do you remember the taxi? I don't know if you remember.
Is this the guy that was cutting toenails in the parking lot? Yeah.
All right. It took us about 3 minutes to go off the rails, but yeah, anyway. You mentioned Dallas.
Correct.
That's what. So I don't know if it was that trip or not. It may have been that
was
same
that trip.
Was it?
Yeah, it was an eventful first trip.
Yeah. So anyway, you mentioned. I don't know that you and Louis Gorneche interviewed on the same day or not, but we were adding one position, and I remember, right. Of course, that was ESCO, right? So we went to Mike and Shirley. Mike, who just passed, right? In December last 2 months ago. And I said, hey, I've got 2 guys, 2 different backgrounds, right? But I think could both, right, do well, and like to bring them back, both on. And so you guys literally started the same day, right? Have been, inseparable. Are you telling me it wasn't the same day?
21 years later, almost 22.
21 years later. So, and I was impressed with your experience with Fastenal, and also you mentioned 2002. You don't have to say your age, but to kind of pick up and move with you were married at that point already, right? So, but both you and Rachel were young, to just pick up and move to, like, you didn't move here to join family, or you kind of did it because the job had a position, right? But
correct.
You guys were both under 25, right?
23 and 21, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Pick up.
I didn't say we were smart. We just we saw an adventure and saw an opportunity and took it. And I think we did that 4 years later when we started AME.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. So I love asking this one. Probably a lot of people know you now at this point, but I always joke and say that it's my guarantee to get a free drink in a bar, right? Where people are like, I'll bet you this or I'll bet you that, and usually I tell people they can guess 10 states of where Brett's from, and they'll never guess it. And so
you can't tell it now.
No, but I still think, right? Most people, they start and they say Georgia.
If you tell it, then they're going to guess it.
Well, true, yeah. Well, we're not getting bought drinks here, unfortunately. But, yeah, so they'll guess. I mean, you've done it as well, right? Because you watched me do it. Guess where he's from. Guess where he's from. They go through basically the geography, right? Either I-95 or I-75, right? Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina, and it just, even they'll say Virginia, West Virginia, right? You still have some southern accents. Nobody thinks Ohio, but you want to describe where you're from? I know you love to say Southern Ohio.
Yeah, Southern Ohio, right on the Kentucky-West Virginia border.
Like 5 minutes from either one,
so
right?
We were 5 minutes either way.
Yeah.
Correct. And I think if you look at a map, our latitude or longitude is basically the same as Lexington, Kentucky.
Right.
But in Ohio.
I think latitude, right? Yeah.
In latitude, yeah.
Maybe.
So
yeah.
Same weather. It was definitely not the South.
No, but I say country. It's a country accent, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, and then that before Fastenal, I know your dad was a career educator.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if college was a choice or a requirement or a prerequisite, but you had some football ambitions, and so you want to talk about your sporting career?
Yeah, I played 2 years of high school football and got recruited to play at Morehead State University
Place kicker.
as a place kicker and as a I got to throw this part in there, but as a defensive back. Had my appendix taken out 30 days before spring or fall practice started, and just was told, like, hey, you got cleared today and tomorrow you start. So back in the days when they didn't take your appendix out with what do they call it? I don't know. I had 13 staples because they cut it out. They didn't.
It wasn't laparoscopic.
Correct.
You don't have the little 2-inch incision.
No.
You've got the went in there with forceps or something. And,
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So they said, yeah, you cleared today. You can start tomorrow. And so why don't you just kick this season and not worry about it?
Yeah. But then eventually your degree is from the Thundering Herd. I don't know. Is that still?
Yep. Moved back to Southern Ohio to go to school at Marshall in Huntington, and 15 minutes away, and worked at Fastenal while I was going to school. Got my degree in business management.
That would have been before. Was Chad Pennington?
It was
Chad
during
Pennington? Was it Pennington was there or no?
Yeah, that was in the 90s. So Pennington was there, and then
Byron Leftwich?
Byron was there, who I had some classes with, and I'm trying to think who else. There were a handful of NFL stars that, after Randy Moss and Chad, that went through. But yeah, well, those guys were all there.
And this is our February. We did 2 episodes a month for the first and what was supposed to have been the only season, and there were a handful of people we wanted, yourself included, that for whatever reason we weren't able to record. So and a few people asked I can't even say tens of fans, but my handful of people. And so anyway, so we said we would do one for a final season, 1 episode per month. So February, of course, is the Tire Industry Association's month that they have the Off the Road Conference, and the name escapes me now. But I know you pulled double duty. You were there, but you cut out early in Palm Springs one of the years, not 2020, but before then. We were in Palm Springs, and actually the motivational speaker was the head coach of Marshall, right? That had he was there at the time when they I guess he was the head coach that came in after, right?
Yes.
The head coach would have died in the plane crash,
he
right?
died in the crash, and
all
of them but 2 coaches, and I think 2 players.
Yeah, so he came in, but unfortunately you did not get to see I think I got you a little sign.
I have a sign, signed by, I think it's Jack Lingle.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
His name,
yeah, that's it.
So yeah, interesting enough is, and my dad was a superintendent in Southern Ohio, and one of the local educators who had been, assistant superintendent, different things. He was the superintendent prior to my dad. His name was Andy Namath. He had coached at Ohio State. He had played line at Ohio State from West Virginia, and had moved back to Huntington. I forget what school he worked at, but he took, superintendent's job. He was Marshall's first offensive line coach after the plane crash.
Really interesting.
Yeah, so I got to see him every day. And
football Namath, but not Willie Joe Namath.
No.
He
was about your size. He was a
big boy.
He was a big guy.
Okay, all right. You mentioned degree in business management, right? You lead our ACME Division. We'll kind of get in how that happened. You led our sales, right, domestic sales force previously. But any business mentors or just in life, right? That have helped you along this path.
I wasn't expecting tough questions. That's a tough question. I don't. Lots of them. I mean, you see lots of different styles that we've dealt with over the years between, Tony Mafia, Brian McGagan, the McGees, Chuck McGee, Frank Ryan. You see a lot of different people that you can go emulate that all have a different style, but are all very successful. So, the AME team. You see some styles you maybe don't want to emulate as well, early in the early days. But yeah, I don't know that there's one.
Even outside of business, I'm sure your dad. I know your dad was entrepreneurial, right? In addition to having the superintendent position. What was your first job as an artist?
No. My first job was as the
landscaping hatchers.
No, at Subway.
Okay, that's what I said. Well,
yes, I wasn't a sandwich artist. I was the guy that dug up the stuff that needed to be moved and rocks and yeah.
You eventually became a sandwich artist.
Yeah, I eventually became a sandwich artist.
Okay, I know he had Subway franchises and
I got to go into the air conditioning.
Yeah.
And heat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So ACME Division, wasn't built around one product per se, but we recognized some of our products were used in other industries.
Mm-hmm.
And AME's focus has been on that tire supply segment, and we delve into some other areas and categories, but you tried, I tried, others have tried, right, to make some inroads, and finally we committed and said we have to do something. You want to tell a little bit about how ACME got launched, and then not only that, how you unexpectedly became the guy?
I was going to say, I think from my perspective, I don't remember how long we had talked about it, but it was a year or two, starting a new division and going after a different market. And I think one day you may have said, hey, you know the product, you just have to learn the customer. Why don't you hit up the ACME division? And I want to say, it's kind of how it happened. Went to a trade show in Louisville.
Was it Louisville or was it Indy? I thought it was the truck show.
It was Louisville. It was like IQ. And
oh, maybe, okay.
Said, okay, is this going to be our market? And we ran into some people that had safety gear. They had it on a trailer that was parked in their booth space. And, wow, this is really cool. This would be a great way to show the product because the catalog's great, but hands-on is what we really need to do.
Yeah.
So I came up with a trailer idea, which I think has been pretty successful. As a key to our business is doing hands-on demos. And yeah, I said, and why not? I'll leave this established business and go start something brand new.
Do something.
Customers we don't know. What could go wrong?
And oddly enough, I'm 90% sure we sketched it out on a whiteboard right there, right? Because this.
Oh, we would have. Yeah.
This is where
the conference room. This
was our conference room at the time, and so yeah, you're right. You came back from a show and were enthusiastic, and we knew we hadn't run an ad yet, but we had kind of decided that we were going to dedicate somebody to just go out and call on this. And ACME is an acronym for. We kind of tossed that back around, but it was.
Ag construction maintenance equipment.
There you go, right? So
no road runners, nothing.
No, I did have that down to inquire about that.
That's the number one question.
I was going to say it, and you don't get it every week probably, but you do get ACME. Like, oh, guys got the road runner. You all sell dynamite, right?
Get it a lot.
Yeah, but yeah, that was it. You said, I think this is the way. Load the equipment up, showing these trailers. And actually, I remember, this goes back actually to the ESCO days. Rima Tip Top used to have like a fifth wheel trailer that they would, haul around, and it was kind of a mobile classroom type thing. I think you could teach tire repair. It was like a mobile shop almost, but it was a legit fifth wheel trailer, so like a horse trailer,
a little bigger than ours, but yeah,
a little bit bigger than ours. But ours, I think, have been effective. I know you went and picked it up, first one, and I think you met us for a show, and I said, let me just travel with you and more or less see what we're doing. And I think that was probably the first of many, right? Out in the hotel parking lot, 9 o'clock at night, trying to organize this. We didn't have any wrap or
nothing,
anything like that.
Yeah, my first trip to pick it up, I picked up a a Chevy 3500 4-door long bed pickup truck to drive from Akron Airport to middle of Indiana to pick up the trailer the next day. The issue we had was it had 3 foot of snow in northern Indiana over 2 weekends, the 2 prior weekends. And so I picked up the trailer and had to go up into Michigan for one call.
Yeah.
And got into South Bend, and there was 3 foot of snow pulling a 20-foot car hauler that was an extra 24 feet behind a truck I'd driven for 12 hours. It was 6 feet longer than any truck I've ever owned through snowbanks, which was a lot of fun to not wreck it.
Yeah.
In fact, we went and saw Steel City Tire.
Yeah.
In Hammond. It
was Hammond, no?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had 4 or 5 feet of snow there.
Yeah, or Gary, a suburb of Gary. But
correct.
Yeah. Home of Michael Jackson,
it was
by
tight.
the way.
It was tight driving through there.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson.
That's where he was born. He's from Gary, Indiana.
Did not realize that.
Well, now you know. Anyway, you've learned something today. I still don't think I've really learned anything. I think I pretty much have known almost all this, but we get time. So you mentioned, right, about the trailer concept, and I think the other part, I guess I'll add into this is something I said it last week. I've said it many times that everybody loves Brett, and so because you knew the product intimately, it was just a matter of going out and learning the customer base, but tell me a reason you think everybody loves Brett.
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think as a whole, and I think, most of us at AME, maybe not all, but I'd say 95%. When we go out, you want to do the best for the customer. You want to take care of the customer. We tend to treat people like we'd want to be treated. And
The golden
so
rule.
I think people respect that, and that bleeds through. So, and they just like me. I don't know. I don't know why you'd like me.
I wonder if we can splice in ask Rachel that question. Say, why?
Why don't you ask my 5 kids?
Yeah.
Maybe a different story.
Yeah.
He's okay. He's okay. Depends on the day.
Yeah. So, how any challenges, struggles with that? Because most people that know you from seeing you at trade show, conference, meeting, probably anywhere other than Brooksville, right? Yeah. Now your role has evolved, right? But there's still a lot of people still ask for you. You haven't been on what I'll say is the AME side, right, for 4 or 5 years. It's
Since 2019.
Yeah, so
6 years going on.
It's funny. I was going to say pre-COVID. That's like a line in the sand that you talk about things now, right? Pre-COVID. But anyway, but still people will say, I know you just did a training and you helped pitch in, right? Because we had calendaring issues and you were out in the field working with earth mover tires, and a couple people said, man, it was great seeing Brett, and you knocked a little bit of the rust off on that. Came up with a different perspective, right? Gave some, hey, we should do this, we should do that, right? Which I think is why you and I have always resonated and looking for, hearing something, hearing a problem, trying to come up with a solution, and so anyway, so that's really what in building this ACME division is what we've done, and we talk a little bit about, right? You basically proved the concept. You were a division of one, a little bit of support from support personnel, but I mean, you went out and business planned your work, worked your plan, right, and grew. But you want to talk about some of the growth and really what is ACME and what the business model is?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's when we started ACME in 2018, we said, hey, I think like I mentioned earlier, we need the product to go to the customer. They need to see it, they need to touch it and feel it. We need to use it and show them how it works and demonstrate and do orientation. We never did training per se. Make sure we threw that in there. But no, we put it in front of them. And so, we got a lot of success from a few small trade shows that we attended. where we got to meet key people that said, hey, come and show our team. They need to see this. So we traveled, I traveled all over Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, all the way up to New Jersey to do some hands-on demos. And then, we were lucky enough to grow. And we grew enough that we hired Justin. So Justin Meyer came on in 2019 and took over west of the Mississippi, which is nice when you don't have the whole United States. So he took west of Mississippi. I had east of Mississippi, and we continued to do the same things, do demonstrations, work with customers, try to help provide solutions that kept their guys safe and made them more efficient with wheel dollies and plastic ribbing and jacks and jack stands, and it really worked well. And then, because of that hard work, we were able to team up with some of the cat safety team and go to Denmark and go to South America and do the same type thing, but for a smaller group, or a bigger group of people in one section, as opposed to us going out. They came to us. So a lot of that was huge in the early days. And, after Justin with success, we were able to hire Eric France to cover the Northeast in the Mid-Atlantic states. And then a year or so later, we put Brandon Trail in a truck and take over my territory.
He replaced you.
He replaced me. He replaced me. And then, Casey McGrew came on last year, at the beginning of the year, and is working the Western states. So it's been 5-6 years. We've had great growth, and we look to continue to grow and keep taking care of customers and bringing in new innovative products.
And then who is would you say maybe that glue that holds the ACME together?
Yeah, so 2022, we were fortunate to get Autumn Glidden to come work with us and handle the inside sales and customer service with ACME. And she came with a lot of experience in the tire industry, and she's done a lot of hands-on, so she's been, great to be able to go out and help with Justin when he's, fairly close in Minnesota or Iowa. She's going to work with some customers, but really inside sales and keeping everybody else in line has been her job.
Well, and you mentioned that, right? Experience in the tire industry, it wasn't necessarily and we've used various services to bring people on, but that wasn't a prerequisite or a requirement. But I think everybody has experience, right? Either, I think Justin, right, distribution.
Mm-hmm.
He had previously worked for Myers and then worked for
JK.
He worked for a tire manufacturer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eric, I know, worked for a commercial dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Brandon was in equipment. He was selling some equipment.
Correct.
Right. And of course, Casey had a safety background.
Safety could have had a Casey background. We don't know.
It sounds like I don't know, some music stars or social media's kid's name. I shall call you Safety. Anyway, but Casey also commercial dealer,
mm-hmm.
right? But in a health and safety background. So anyway, if you could talk about the differences, right? Because ACME really effectively was a startup, right? But obviously a little bit more secure than a true startup, right? Because
we're very fortunate.
We were 10 plus years in to business, right? We had already partnered with the Haltech group, right? So some of the differences between, right? You were one of the four founders, right, of AME International, myself, you, Lewis, and Tim Benoist, right? And so we kept us all together until last year, right? But so yeah, could you talk about, kind of those experiences and I tell people, I mean, there's, and I know you as well, right? Very supportive. People go out and hang their own shingle, if you will. And I say there's no greater thrill, right? No greater anxiety. I mean, it's a roller coaster, right? So, the ups and downs and so on. But, however, whatever you want to wax poetic on, either on startup, but also, right, ACME and kind of starting that.
Yeah, I mean, to compare the differences, we started AME in 2007 at basically the height of the second largest recession in U.S. history. In August, moved into a building that didn't have electric, that was being finished, putting up pallet rack, August in Florida. and a 20-foot ceiling warehouse with no fan, no electricity. So we're working during the daytime, and I think it was the four of us, me, you, Lewis, and Tim, and it was rough. We got it done. I think I still remember back and go, we set pallet racking for an entire row, maybe a 60 or 80 foot run, and then measured the second time and went, oh, it needs to move, 8 inches. Like, okay, let's tear 90% of it back down. It was, again, August, September. It was hot. So we went through a lot of that. We went through the hard times. And what did somebody say? You start your own business, you get to work half days.
Yeah.
You get to work the AM or the PM. You get to pick, right?
Yeah,
so
right,
I mean,
exactly.
there's a lot of those. And then to contrast it with the ACME side, ACME was a little easier. We had a warehouse, we had products, we had help, we had
Support
people
staff,
to ship, people to create labels, which we didn't have early on at AME, and so we didn't have to do that. We just had to go sell and set up customers. So it's a lot easier. Both been fun. I'll take the ACME side, I think, for the stress level. But
yeah, I would try and explain to people early on, right? You'd work your tail off to get an order. And then once you did it right, early on, right, you had to sometimes come up with instructions, and I mean, AMEIs, right, things, and manufacturers sometimes would help out, but a lot of them are manufacturers, right? They're making it for us, and so we had to come up with all that. I mean, even our logo creation and letterhead, and that was all outsourced. The only benefit maybe in starting a business in 2007 is while everyone else was trying to get lean potentially because of, right, we were already lean, right? But that meant you got an order, right? You figured out the packaging, you packed the order, you shipped the order. I mean, you got to know where the UPS guys that work late would take their lunch break, right? They'd be like, hey, man, I'm up at the 7-Eleven every night from 6 to 7, man. You can drop off a package there. Or we'd run it or you'd run it up. You seem to do the most of those. Yeah, but to the UPS center and drop them off, right? I mean, it was just doing whatever it takes.
You talk about UPS. I remember printing on the UPS 4x4 labels that you got. And we would print our labels on them because they gave us the paper, right? I mean, I hate to say it, but we got box labels came on.
I recall that as well.
It wasn't for a long time, but you did what you had to do within reason. And I can remember we would work from white plastic tables on one side of the town, and at lunchtime, 2 people would drive over to the warehouse, which had no racking at that point because our warehouse didn't have electric.
It was built to suit, so it was being built out. Yeah,
built out. So we used another one. Everything's on the floor, and we were taking products, labeled them, creating instructions, putting them in the box, packing them up on the floor. And I think we had a 1960 forklift or something that UPS had come or freight carrier had come, and you'd load them up, and that was it. And that was every day for 6 weeks or something until we got the building. But even when we got the building, think back, how many days did we come in at? I think we would come in at 5 or 5:30, Sunday to Sunday.
Yeah.
And for 3 or 4 weeks, and we would create a catalog.
Yeah.
And somebody would take pictures, and somebody would go edit. And I don't know if GIMP's a paid for service or not, but GIMP was a free software that we could edit drawings and we could do different things. So come a long way. There was no Canva in those days.
There was no Canva. We did use some outsourced specialty, right? Skill sets, I guess, right? The guy did our first catalog.
Mm-hmm.
Was like in Czech Republic or something, right? He was Andre. I remember was the name, right? And I mean, it was those early days. I mean, it was I would say
was it 8 pages, 4 pages?
It was like it might have been 12 or 16. It was
skinny.
not much, and there was some fluff in there and lots of space, right? But we got it done and have continued to grow and I don't say, and we probably don't reflect often enough. And
it was a lot.
Yeah, but it does. it does give you a little bit of swagger, I think, some confidence, right, when you go through some of those
Oh yeah,
times.
we did what we had
right?
to do, right? I mean, it's no different than you get on a job and you got a tough tire. You got something out that you got to get it done.
Right.
You want to be safe, which is what we want, but at the same time, you still got to get it done. So
Yeah.
it's not easy.
Say failure's not an option, right? And same thing. When you're at customer's place, you got to get them rolling and so on, right? So, but yeah.
I think it was Mother's Day. If I remember right, we finished a catalog in 2012 or 13 on Sunday, Mother's Day, and we said we have to be done by 7:30 because we had to go home and cook or do
Right.
whatever for
Right.
moms, and we got done at 7:30 or 8
Yeah.
o'clock. I mean, like
Wrap
we didn't
it up.
start. You had to be there early that day. I don't know why I even thought about it, but there was a day that we did a PowerPoint so that we could go see McCarthy, and it was on Easter. It was like in the evening,
Yeah.
and I think we worked till 10 or 11 o'clock, and we had like a 6 a.m. flight out,
Yeah.
not realizing it was going to be 40 degrees in Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
and we wore like, slacks and
Yeah.
dress shirts, and then you get there and they say, okay, we're going to ride with this guy, with Mark.
We didn't know
Mark,
that.
you know who you are.
Yeah, well, we can say Shimko, right? But
There you
we
go.
didn't know that until years later. But that was it. I think we were getting pictures of the what was new at the time, the Diamondback. But I do remember that trip. I remember freezing. I remember somebody
freezing.
had an old 55-gallon drum that they were burning something in, and we were hovering over that like a bunch of hobos
It was cold. It was cold.
trying to stay warm.
Yeah, we were looking at the WA 500 that had the new.
That's right,
When it
Komatsu.
first came out, they said that you can't put anything on the backside.
Had like a
There's no
wheel
way.
motor or something in the back that
Yeah,
limited
wet brake
clearance.
or dry brake or
Yeah.
I don't remember which, but
I
yeah,
don't remember either.
that was the good old days were the days when we drove to Atlanta to take all of our first pictures and video with Jim Miller in August, which is again great time to go outside and spend 8 or 9 hours or 12 hours, to drive up in the morning, 8-hour drive,
To
shoot videos and pictures
at a Ritchie Brothers, I
at
think,
a Ritchie
right?
Brothers lot until 5 or 6 in the evening, and then say, you know what, let's drive back so we don't have to get a hotel.
Correct.
And drove back.
That was like a 24-hour day. I remember. I remember two things. I remember three things. I remember we stopped for Hooters in Macon and treated ourselves to some chicken wings,
Undercooked wings.
undercooked wings, and but then I remember it was a race to see, and we were going to have a celebratory beer if we made it back in time to a local Brooksville establishment.
Yeah.
Miss
We didn't
Kitty's
know.
Hilltop Lounge, which is just an old bar or whatever, right? Country Western bar. We did not make it back in time, but I remember saying, man, it's late, and I'm not unloading this truck. And because we had the whole back loaded with tools, and I just backed it up against my garage and was like, well, it's going to be difficult if somebody wants to take anything out of here. And yeah. Oh, you know why? Because we loaded up. Never mind. We actually picked some stuff up. I forgot
Yes.
about that. We made a stop and picked some stuff up. So I had like a full bed of
Tire cages.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
tools. Correct.
Exactly. So anyway, the good old days. So even though you handle domestic, we wear a lot of hats. We've gotten better, right? Because I think as you grow and scale a company,
We have gotten better.
you have to have some focus, right? And it's tough because I know your attitude, my attitude's never been, well, that's not my job. You jump in and do everything. But at some point it becomes detrimental if you try and do everything, right? So, but you have, as I mentioned, you filled in just recently. You didn't handle international sales, but there's only so many hours in the day, right? And all of us are, I think, do a pretty good job with our families and that work-life balance. It's a challenge. So you've missed things for work because of graduations, which kids have every year now.
Yes.
But and then with times 5, right? So anyway, have you had any of those moments where you've been, how the heck did I get here? A kid from Southern Ohio, right? You know, and any places where you're like, wow, like, you know, like that you look back and you think it's been pretty cool.
No, it definitely has. I don't even know why I was thinking this the other day, but I have I have an old pair of cowboy boots that I used to wear. Maybe got them in 2008 or 9. And I realized one day I've worn them to Panama City, Panama a couple times. They've been in Australia twice. They've been to China. They've been to Moscow. They've been all over Canada. They've been to Germany. They've been to Italy. And then maybe the strangest one that hit me was they've been to the Ukraine.
Yeah.
So, I spent a week in the Ukraine, just south of the Russian border, which we wouldn't want to go there today.
No.
But, was over there. And said,
May not be south of the Russian border today.
Correct. Yeah, but I said, I didn't get rid of those boots. I can't get rid of those boots. They've been as many places as I've ever been. I would have never dreamed that I'd go some of those places. So, yeah, for sure. It's been it's fun getting to go places that maybe weren't my territory.
Right.
Work with different customers, but yeah.
People are the same no matter what. Sometimes different accent, right? But people are largely the same. They want the same, have the same wants and needs. Did you mention New Zealand?
I didn't mention New Zealand. I should have. I was thinking
because I was going to say
New Zealand was the other place. So
yeah, I know that was a cool experience and
that was great.
Trip, and I know Ben Graham, right, and actually Jeff Young. He mentioned Anthony.
Yep.
Right. And he's a good guy, and I think you spent some quality time with him.
Yep. Got to do training with his team, and then took me to his house and stayed at his house for a couple days, and got to go on the boat.
Did you see any hobbits?
No hobbits.
That is, I think, the location where not just the whole country, but within New Zealand, I think is where Lord of the Rings trilogy, maybe?
Well,
no?
I think so, yeah. I think that's where they filmed it.
Yeah.
I did see the one military aircraft they own. They have a fighter jet.
Nice.
Yeah. Supposedly.
Okay.
It's a true story.
Anything else from your experience?
How long do we have?
Well...
Just a 90-minute long play cassette. What we got?
No,
it's been a great experience to be in the tire industry and starting at ESCO, thinking, okay, this is just another thing. Where's this thing going to take me? Where am I going from here? Kind of with Fastenal and like I said, being from a small area in Ohio, I think our whole county had 65,000 people. Now I live in Florida in the same size, landmass size county that has 200,000 people. So it's a much different experience. But coming from there and moving here and getting in the industry and then starting a business and then selling that business and starting a new division of the next business, and it's been great. And then looking back, a few years ago, going, I didn't know I was going to have a career, but I kind of think it's a career once you're at 20 years in the same role or the same industry.
It is 20 plus now.
I don't even know where you'd go from here. So no, it's been good. It's been a great experience.
I'm trying to find a way where it doesn't appear that I'm leading you to ask you one question that I think is just kind of colorful. I don't know if it's really newsworthy or it's not newsworthy, but
no.
Any quasi celebrities that you've encountered? Actually, anybody remarkable, right? I mean, you and I travel a lot, and you spend way too many times on aircraft. You're more, especially with the demo, right? You're hauling a trailer, so your flights are way down. My flights are way down, right? But anyone there. But then there's one particular individual that I was gunning for, and that I'll continue filling the blanks if it's.
So let's see. I've been on 2 flights with Hogan on his way to whenever they did the show.
Who lives in Clearwater, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Whenever they did the shows, Hulk Hogan's sitting in front of me getting in trouble at the time because he won't turn his cell phone off before we depart. And they threatened to take his phone, kick him off, whatever.
Yeah.
Roddy Piper. I don't know why it's all wrestlers, but a lot of wrestlers.
A lot of Tampa-based people, yeah.
Justin Verlander, Nicolas Cage on my flight to Vegas one time, sat across from me, Charles Barkley.
Well, I just forgot.
Me.
I actually fangirled the one time, right? Because growing up outside of Philly and and you told me Sir Charles
Right
was
behind
there,
me.
and I was like, you gotta just say something to him, right? I don't know why I was living vicariously through you, but right, that
We did a picture for you.
Yeah. You have a picture with Charles?
I think so. I think I sent it to you. Who's the one? Chris Weber sitting next to me. One of my childhood friends that I grew up with. He was a big time Chris Weber Michigan fan.
Part of the Fab, what they call
yeah.
Fab 4 or Fab 5?
Timeout. Oh, wait, too soon. Yeah, he was a Fab 5 guy. Nice guy. But yeah, took a picture with him.
Was he the one that did? I know
He was the extra timeout.
He was the back-to-back or something.
Yeah, it was
them,
technical. He didn't cost him, but yeah.
No, yeah.
They blamed
Shouldn't have
him.
been in that position.
Who else? You know, one of my favorite stories is he's not a huge star, but David Arquette was checking into the same hotel I was in Memphis for a Volvo show. And I was trying to park the car, and you had a valet, and he was standing like in the island in the middle, and I thought he was the valet guy. And I'm standing behind him, waiting, and there's a truck pulls in, and all these artsy-looking people get out that are from the movie industry, and, you know, okay. And he turns around, he's like, smiles, and I'm like, oh, he's not the valet guy. Still don't know it's David Arquette. And then I say, oh, there's the valet guy. So I walk over, and then I turn around, I'm like, I almost gave the keys to David Arquette.
That's
Said, here, can you give me a tag to park this thing? And then I ran into him the rest of the week, you know, going to breakfast. And
That's pretty funny.
he didn't valet, though.
No,
I don't know.
That's pretty funny.
I don't know what movie they were shooting, but yeah. I don't know who else. I'm trying to think of who else I would have run into.
Somebody might be more infamous than famous. More of a news gossip celebrity.
Maybe a Richard Heaney. Yeah, early on when Richard.
But people probably would not know that name.
No, they would know Balloon Boy.
The Balloon Boy dad.
The dad,
right?
correct.
In particular.
Yeah.
And you've been in his home.
Yes, I have. I didn't think about that. I have.
Did he play? I think he played music. I think
The boys played the music.
the kids I know were playing and so on. But he moved into our area, and
I don't remember the name of the
Heaney Duty
was it the Heaney Duty
or the Bear Scratch
Well, the Bear Scratch was good. The Heaney Duty
truck transformer.
was ahead of its time. By a lot.
Actually, it's funny.
Somehow I became Richard's handler. Within AME. I don't remember how, but
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's that was an adventure. So you can probably Google, right?
Google Heaney Duty, you'll see my handy dandy film work because I was running the camera.
See your film work. You'll see
AME's old building.
Yeah, correct. So anyway,
Maybe making a comeback after this podcast. 3 or 4 people visit the site.
Anyway, good times nonetheless. Anything else you want to wax poetic? It's twice I've thrown that in or interjected that. What's next?
I don't know. You know what's next?
I'll ask you that because I know you've got 2 exciting partnerships within the ACME division.
Yeah.
Not that this is really meant to be a plug, but
if we were going to plug something, we would, but we're not going to plug anything.
Not going to plug anything.
That's not what we're going to do.
No, correct.
But if we were to do it, we would probably talk about our EquipTech adjustable height platform partnership with Bruce Senior from New Zealand, or our AIG master distributor partnership with Bobby Lanyon from AIG Safety.
Yeah.
But I know we don't do advertising on the podcast, so we're not going to talk about that.
No, correct. Anyway,
right, but the AHP line from EquipTech, adjustable height platforms. Wow, it's an adjustable ladder system that encloses the person on it with all 4 sides, and it's rated, and
we displayed
it's fantastic.
Displayed it at the mining show.
Yeah.
And you guys have a lot more regional. I mean, there's some national, but a lot more regional type shows that I think the ACME division does, right? And so be displaying both of those. So yeah, continue to have growth and do what we've done for 90% of our career.
Yeah.
Just get out of our way. We're coming through, right? Just keep knocking down doors.
There's a show. I don't know when this is going to get put out, but if you want to come see us at the Georgia Aggregate Conference, I think we're going to be there with Brandon.
Yeah, nice.
At the Cobb Galleria Center.
This will be in February, but I think that show's in February.
Yeah, it's towards the end of middle of February, like the 19th to the 21st.
All right, well.
I don't want to plug that, but that's when it would be, I would think.
Yeah.
And then we have there's a couple other shows in the spring. North Carolina Aggregates. Casey's got the Elko Mining Show in June.
Yeah.
Then next year.
That's all we got time for.
Well, next year I think we have Con Expo again in Vegas.
Is it back around?
It's every 3 years, right? So it was 23.
It was 20, right? Because that's when the world stopped.
It was that we were there. We finished out the day early.
They actually
Flew
shut
home.
the show down a day
We
early.
did.
That's when Trump was president first term, and they suspended trips to and from Europe, I think, right?
So they had to shut it down so people could leave. And
right.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the
COVID. Yeah.
The COVID.
So so it would have been 23. So 26.
So 26.
Wow.
Next year we'll have Con Expo again, and 2 years from now we'll have Mine Expo.
Mine
again.
Expo. Yeah. Okay.
So we'll be at those. World of Asphalt, Missouri will be there.
The IQ show is not IQ anymore, is it? Or?
No, I don't remember what it's called.
But
it's not catchy anymore.
No, wasn't catchy then either. I always called it ICUEE. But anyway, all right. On that note, I think we're going to wrap it up because you and I could just sit here and ramble. We may already be sitting here and rambling.
If you made it this far, you might as well stick it out to the end.
I feel like this. Maybe we can monetize this by those apps that help you fall asleep. Maybe not. Anyway, I'm confident in post-production this will get edited and maybe insert some snazzy graphics or something like that too. Well, graphics. I'm a YouTuber, so I'm not a YouTuber, but I watch on YouTube, and I don't sit here and watch these, but I do watch them before they get published. So, all right.
Any other disclaimers you have before we wrap?
I'm gonna call this a day. So
I only have one other thing.
Go ahead.
Because I don't want to be on here advertising with an ACME Minute or any of those things that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do like to advertise local businesses. So
yeah, absolutely.
Monday morning meetings, we tend to throw a shout out to some people and
our sponsors.
Offer discounts. Yeah, they're a weekly sponsor. If you're listening to this and you're one of our weekly sponsors and somebody comes in and says, they told me to mention the ACME Minute and I got a deal. We know we haven't talked to you. Give them something. We make those up on the spot. Everybody enjoys it. I have had a few people ask if it's for real. We always say, yeah, it's for real.
It's absolutely real.
Yeah, and so
I ought to just start asking for the ACME Minute discount and see if I can get.
You make it something.
Prescription Outdoors. We know that.
Prescription Outdoors. Yeah.
They'll do it
Peachy
up in
Pies.
Chiefland. Peachy Pies, local. Yeah.
The Lake Lindsay Mall and Deli.
There you go.
Just Champ's Corner.
That's it.
Crowder Brothers Hardware.
Don't give away all the hot spots that we have here in local.
Smoking Oak.
Already people
Florida Cracker.
About too many people. Anyway, but growth, I guess, is what powers the ACME division, right? So.
Trying.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining another episode of As the Tire Turns. And Brett Waggoner, thank you very much. And we'll see you next month with another episode.